I'm gonna cook 1 pound, 16 ounces of elbows per package directions. Okay, we have some frozen peppers that we had already chopped up and put in the freezer that I'm gonna chop up smaller. We're gonna use 2 to 3 cloves of garlic and 1 large onion, and we'll get that chopped up. I chopped up the onion, the bell pepper, and minced the garlic. All this will be cooked and then added in while cooking the ground beef. You need 32 ounces of chicken broth. I had some that we made homemade and it was frozen, so I'm melting it. We'll need a large thing of pasta sauce. It doesn't matter which flavor. This recipe is really forgiving. Sometimes I don't even add the onions and peppers and garlic. I'll use onion powder and garlic powder, and yes or no on the peppers. Always use a can of drained whole kernel corn. 1 to 2 cans of petite diced tomatoes. Tonight I'm just using 1 can. I use a can of large black olives that I chop up. Okay, my pasta is done cooking. I'm going to drain it and let that sit while I cook up the beef. I just let it sit there. I add the pasta back in at the end. Add a tablespoon of oil and let that heat up in your skillet. Add onions and peppers and cook about 3 to 5 minutes, more like 5 minutes, until it's starting to get translucent. On like medium-high heat. Like I said, if you're short of time, you can add onion powder or granulated onion and garlic powder. Skip on the peppers. The family loves this and it makes a lot. While the meat heats up, we can go ahead and start our sauce. I add in your chicken broth. You can make it with bouillon cubes if you want. The pasta really does just soak up a lot of the liquid, and I think that's a nice added protein. Add in your pasta sauce. Add in your corn. Petite diced tomatoes because the kids don't like big chunks of tomatoes. Don't drain these. Add that all the way in. The olives I like to chop up. I just lay them out and start chopping. You can buy these already chopped, but they come in much smaller cans, and the sliced ones are too big. I like them chopped a little bit smaller, so I just buy the large can and chop them myself. Stir together and just let that simmer all together. We'll be adding the meat and onions and peppers and all to that. And then the cheese and some cayenne pepper. You can omit the olives if your family doesn't like it. We like olives, and like I said, I chop them small, so they're just part of the goulash. Let's get back to the meat. Alright, it's time to go ahead and add our ground beef. I'm going to use 1 pound of ground beef. Add your ground beef, mix it up and break it up and cook it with the onions and peppers. Teaspoon of salt. Our chicken broth, we don't add a lot of salt to, so you might want to do it to taste, but we start with a teaspoon and usually end up adding more. Black pepper. Add a half a teaspoon. of black pepper, cayenne pepper. We're adding 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And I just add a pinch of crushed red pepper. This is optional. I do it for my husband, and the cheese helps subdue it a bit. Really not that much at all. Stir together. Depending on the fat content of your ground beef will determine whether or not you need to drain it or what. I'm going to need to drain the grease from mine, pat it away. Anywhere from 1/2 cup to 1 cup of shredded cheddar. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the sauce. This sauce does hide veggies well. I mean, I have added spinach before, just even the frozen or just wilted some leaves, chopped them up a little bit and added it right in. Kids don't like seeing green, but you can't taste it and it's good. Just let that simmer until we add our beef. Go ahead and add our garlic. Stir that to get it all mixed in. It'll really help flavor that beef up. I'm ready to drain the grease. I have this little setup I'm going to use. And that's it. We'll let it sit a few minutes. It's still dripping. It stopped dripping. Well, pretty much. It stopped dripping almost. We're going to go ahead and add it. A little hint is to clean your strainer like this right away, otherwise it's hard to clean. Stir. You can really simmer as long as you want, but it's pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and add the pasta back. Mix in. Add salt and pepper to taste. Sometimes it needs a little bit with all the pasta and depending on the broth that you use. And you can top with Parmesan cheese, serve with a salad or a vegetable or garlic bread, or just as it is. Sometimes my kids used to eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was nice to have if we've been gone for all day and wanted to come home and make sure we had something to eat, or to serve before the kids went off and did a sports activity or something so they could have protein and carbs together. All right, we'll plate it up. In a little bit, we'll let it cool because it will thicken. Sometimes it's even better the next day. It all just kind of absorbs all the flavors and stuff. I let it sit and it did thicken up, but it was too hot to do a taste test to see what extra seasonings I wanted to add. And I tasted it and I think it definitely needs more salt. Might add a little more cayenne. Whatever else you think. I mean, you could even go back and add a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder, because that adds a little different flavor rather than, I mean, we have the fresh onion and garlic cooked and sauteed. Let's get this plated. My family loves this. You can see all the stuff in it. I'm about to grate some Parmesan on it. I got it all seasoned up. Added some extra salt, some extra cayenne pepper, a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder. Because it's a lot, it absorbs, makes a lot of food. Enjoy. If you like this content, please hit the bell to be notified when I make more. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.